How do you think astronauts live in space? All we know is that they take full advantage of the zero-gravity situation by floating around everywhere. But they have to maintain a diet, as there is no Walmart up there. So that leads us to the question, how do the astronauts keep healthy? Do they have to exercise too? The answer to the question is yes. Exercise is actually a crucial part of the daily routine of an astronaut. And with the ongoing space race, the billionaires among us are already visiting space, calling it space exploration. Elon Musk's company SpaceX is the most renowned in that field, and recently they have shared some information about how the space explorers will keep in shape. Let's have a look at that today. As the space race seems to be pacing on at supersonic speed, it seems that in the not-so-distant future, the space will be filled with tourists from the Earth. Not only as a tourist, but there is also a huge possibility that mankind will become an interplanetary species. That's if Elon Musk's plans see their fruition. So, as people will be spending much of their time in outer space, the effect of space on their health also has to be thought of by the space exploration companies. On Earth, each time we move, gravity provides resistance to the muscles and bones of our body. It's like we're exercising without even realizing it. That way, our body stays strong enough to support our weight. In microgravity, however, bones and muscles no longer have to support the weight of astronauts' bodies. Space missions decrease astronauts' bone density by 1 to 1.5% per month, and weaken the movement and postural muscles. What's more, the cardiovascular system becomes lazy, as the heart doesn't have to work as hard as it does on Earth to counteract gravity and pump blood up to the head. Also, the heart gets smaller, as it doesn't have to pump against gravity in space. But it's not just muscles and bones that astronauts have to worry about either. People also experience something called the fluid shift in space. Without gravity pulling your bodily fluids downwards, they shift up into the chest and head, causing issues with the circulatory system and even changes to vision. Most of these changes are temporary though, and typically go away once astronauts return to Earth. When these changes take place can vary a lot depending on what exercises are done and how often, but if no exercise is done, these changes will start in around 14 days. The International Space Station ISS has around 932 cubic meters of space, around the volume of a Boeing 747. About 2/3 of this space is used for storage and equipment, such as exercise devices, including a treadmill, a bike, and a machine built for resistance exercise. Exercising looks a bit different in microgravity, however. Exercise machines have been modified to simulate a gravitational pull being exerted on the astronauts' bodies. The Iss Life Support system, which maintains a healthy environment for humans by controlling oxygen, heat, and moisture levels in the cabin, is also designed to allow astronauts to exercise for 2.5 hours a day, 6 days a week, without too much heat or carbon dioxide building up. This is why professional astronauts use exercise equipment in space to keep their muscles strong. So, what will SpaceX's gym look like? Unlike in the ISS, capsular spacecraft such as Crew Dragon and NASA's Orion, which will take people to the Moon and Mars, will not have the space for large exercise equipment. Orion and Crew Dragon both have around 9 cubic meters of living space, with around 5 of these probably used for exercise. It will be like going on a 4-day trip with 3 friends in a very small camper van, without being able to leave the cabin and move around much. Space station exercise equipment is far too big and heavy for a capsular spacecraft. It's expected there will only be room for 1 exercise device in a capsular spacecraft, and this device would need to be about the size of a shoebox and no heavier than 10.6 kilograms. A flywheel exercise device could be used to fit on board the Orion spacecraft. This is a disc-based device that provides constant resistance during a wide variety of exercises, a bit like a rowing machine. To exercise as much as ISS astronauts, passengers on capsular spacecraft would probably have to split exercise into several sessions per person daily. It could take up as much as 18 hours per day for the whole crew to exercise if only 1 device is available. Small bouts of exercise would also ensure filtration systems can scrub additional carbon dioxide, moisture, and heat from exercise. In 2020, the space station became so crowded that some of the astronauts had to sleep in SpaceX's Dragon capsule. The situation became like this as there was 1 extra crew member in the space station, and the mission commander had to stay in SpaceX's capsule. And in this mission, some things about the SpaceX capsule's gym came up. One of the big things we're going to have to be more mindful of is the scheduling of everything, especially the exercise equipment of the Dragon capsule. We will have to exercise every day, and it's hugely important. There are much tighter schedules associated with the equipment, which will give us less flexibility in the rest of our day. Okay, it's important for the astronauts to exercise, and the idea of having a gym in the spacecraft makes sense. But what if any paying customer wouldn't like the idea of working out while they're in outer space? On top of that, unlike the International Space Station, astronauts there wouldn't be spending 6 months. It will be a short trip of around 3 days or so. Research shows that moderate muscle wasting takes about 7 days to occur in space if no exercise is performed. So for Crew Dragon passengers, doing no exercise during their 2 to 4 day mission will probably only result in a small amount of muscle wasting, as your body needs some level of stress almost every day to maintain good function. And any muscle wasting that occurs will be easy to regain when they return to Earth, simply by being back in normal gravity, holding themselves up and doing their normal daily activities. But on longer missions, such as a 5-day transit to the Moon, and especially a Mars transit that could take 200 or more days, exercise will be vital. After 7 days in space, muscle power, volume, and endurance decline. After around 14 days in space, the muscle's abilities to work and recover declines. Large changes such as difficulty standing begin by 28 to 35 days without exercise. Even though a moon trip is still under 7 days, the reduced gravity on the moon is unlikely to be enough to help the human body stay fit for the return trip. So a round trip to the moon will require a crew to exercise in order to return safely to Earth. If a lunar stay is more than a few days, astronauts will definitely need exercise to keep their muscles strong and healthy, but these types of missions are likely to remain for professional astronauts for the time being. On top of all that, another study shows that inactivity spurred from being in a low oxygen habitat may lead to health problems, including heart, respiratory, skeletal, and nervous system issues. Moving takes energy that we get from a critical process called oxidative metabolism. A stressed oxidative metabolic process is not good for the body, but the new research shows the resulting inactivity can be equally harmful to a person's health. Both low oxygen and inactivity are linked to cardiovascular and respiratory diseases, but the study found that inactivity has a greater impact on skeletal muscles. All of this means space agencies such as NASA and ambitious companies such as Elon Musk's SpaceX and Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin should consider developing ways to keep space travelers exercising to maintain their health during long voyages. And it seems Elon Musk is already thinking ahead and trying to come up with a microgravity gym. So Elon Musk hit a new milestone in the year 2021, which is among many, and this achievement is regarded with his space exploration company SpaceX. They sent their first all-civilian spaceflight into space this year. Billionaire Jared Isaacman's privately chartered spaceflight launched on the 15th of September, becoming the first crewed orbital mission with no professional astronauts on board. Isaacman, 38, the trip's benefactor, has forked over an undisclosed but presumably hefty sum to fellow billionaire and SpaceX founder Elon Musk to send himself and his 3 crewmates aloft. It marks the debut flight of Musk's new orbital tourism business, and a leap ahead of competitors likewise, offering rides on rocket ships to well-heeled customers, willing to pay a small fortune for the acceleration and bragging rights of space flight. So that concludes this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe for more, and we'll see you in another video. Ta-ra for now.